Welcome to Walpole United WFC.
Good evening and welcome to Walpole United WFC with me. I'm with Matt. We're back. It's Saturday Night Live and I'm not really in the fucking mood after watching United today. But the show must go on. Matt, how are you doing, pal?
Yeah, not too bad, pal. Bit windswept, but we move. It's Baltic outside, isn't it? My days, like very, very windy. That and there's idiots still going with fireworks. That's the only thing that's getting on my fruit. I just not a fan. It's ridiculous. But anyway, we move.
Evening, Rob. I hope you're well, pal. Yeah, you're right, mate. Yeah, fucking fireworks were going off earlier on around here as well. I believe you was at Aston Villa today, then, pal. Or you was watching Aston Villa.
Yeah. I went down with a mate of mine, and I think it was always the plan for me. Obviously, went to Villa Park against Arsenal, and seen that the game against Chelsea had been moved to today at 12:30. So absolutely fine. And Benny has now actually disappeared on me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce the show and tell you what we're talking about until Benny gets back. So obviously we've got busy month, busy November, and we're going to analyse each fixture one by one. Obviously looking into it, we've got Tottenham. We have got we've not got Aston Villa. We've got Tottenham. We have got Arsenal. We've got Man City, and we have he's back. And we've also got Everton. I was just explaining. We're analysing one by one each topic: Spurs, City, Arsenal, and also Everton. So yeah, sorry, Benny, you can take back over now, pal.
Yeah, sorry about that. I see Gremlins coming up on the old technology again. So I think it might be one of them shows, mate. But yeah, it's a busy month, mate, as you're saying there for Manchester United. Coming up in a very, very important month, I think, in our both in our league and our cup campaign. Really, we've got some massive fixtures. Yeah. Is there any particular one that stands out for you that we have to win? The derby, maybe in the Conti Cup.
I think the derby for me, just because it's a derby. Listen, I'm not bothered that it's Conti Cup. A derby's a derby. So I think from what I believe, ticket sales are selling well. I believe behind the goal and our normal stand is sold out. So if that's the case, I'm hoping they can open the one opposite, whatever one that is, East or something, is it? So I think that's the big one for me, just because of what it means and just because of the fact that, I think still in that league game that we were not at our best and we should have won. So this is a chance to correct that now and go out there and absolutely wallop them. So yeah, I think out of the ones, I think that's the one I'm most looking forward to. I think if we had to sort of rank them, I think the second one for me would have to be Arsenal. I think just to see how we fare against, them compared to last year, because obviously they've signed some quality players. So, but yeah, I think City won first always.
And of course, we've got before all that, we've got Tottenham tomorrow away from home. And despite what Manchester United's official website says, I can't believe it. I think the guy must be quoting from last year's notes or something, when he's going about Alex Morgan. But, despite a few gremlins in that report, do you think the Spurs side have got enough to trouble us tomorrow?
I don't want to say yes, but then if I say no, something's going to come back to bite me. But the thing was, right, I saw Tottenham. I watched the game live against Leicester, obviously at the King Power, and I don't see where they are. Obviously, the City result was a fluke and a freak result, but they got the win. But everything I saw against Leicester was just down one side, and it was just get the ball to it was at Chioma Obagagu, I think is how you pronounce it, and she just ran basically and ran, and that was it. Obviously, she'll be coming up against Ona, and I don't think she'll have the beating of Ona, being honest. But I don't know. Listen, it's not to say that they're a poor side. They've got some good players, but I don't know. They're one of them sides where somehow they're quite defensively sound. I mean, obviously having a better goalkeeper than that one that couldn't catch a cold in season 1 helps. But yeah, I think, you know, it'll be interesting. I think what they have done is they've added more experience for me more than anything. You know, you look at, for example, Molly Bartrip at the back, and, you know, she's obviously played for Reading, you know, experienced WSL defender. So people like that, you know, obviously Rach Williams is up top. She can always, I think she scored actually past Leicester from memory. You know, she can cause issues. You know, they've got Jess Naz back fit. They've obviously signed Kia Simon, who we were linked with. You know, Aussie international experience player again. So I think for me, it's just about just going there and being clever with the ball. You know, obviously, it's all well and good me sitting here and saying this may happen, that may happen, but you know, it's how we perform on the day. But yeah, I think it'd be an interesting game. I don't think it'd be a high scoring game, being honest. Like I said, they've been defensively sound over 5 games, and listen, that's not a fluke. So yeah, I think probably a low scoring game, maybe a 2-1 or a 1-0. But listen, I'll take that, and anything that, you know, gets us a win is good for me. So yeah, but I'll let you talk about Spurs, because obviously from the outside, for those that maybe haven't seen them, what you may be expecting, or what does it seem like you may be expecting?
Well, to be fair, mate, I'm hoping. I mean, we went down a couple of years ago before COVID, didn't we? You know, down to Barnet FC. You know, and I think I'm hoping for a bit more of the same from United. You know, I think it will be end to end a little bit. I don't think it'll all be one sided. I think Tottenham have definitely improved since then as well. Let's be fair, and we have played Tottenhm for quite. They've sort of come up with us, haven't they? Really, on our journey. Let's be fair. So, and I think the matches against Spurs in the Championship, especially, were pretty much one-sided. But I think these days now, Tottenham have built up a decent enough side where they're going to give us a bit of a game. I think, as I said, it'll be end to end. I think is whether we can make sure we don't make any defensive errors to allow them to score, because I don't think they're going to score otherwise, mate. I think if we keep ourselves solid, keep our shape, play our football, and play the way we want to be playing, and not playing their game, not stupid to their game, I think we should be all right. I think we should be pretty comfortable tomorrow. It all depends again, I think, on who starts in midfield, because obviously we all know that Jackie's going to be missing by the looks of it. Which will it be Vilda Barisa, or will it be Hayley Ladd to come in? I'm hoping it'd be Hayley Ladd, to be honest with you, to solidify that midfield a little bit, just to give us a bit more of a backbone in there. Because I think at times that we have been vulnerable, especially on the counter, where teams just walk straight through our midfield like they're not even there. So I'm hoping Hayley comes in, to be fair, solidifies that. I think Rob's saying both here for him, both Villa Barossa and Hayley had to come in for him.
I mean, to be fair, sorry, just before you move on to pick up on that point, obviously he's right, but we all know the scenario of what is going to happen. But I think just to touch on that, obviously you mentioned, you know, prefer Hayley Ladd. I think for me, I'm not hugely fussy. I'd like to think that because, like I said, the way I've seen Spurs play and the way sort of they are going forward, I'd like to think that what we've got can cope, and that we could put Risa in there. And the reason being for me was that I saw, obviously, when she does play, some of her passing and them through balls was phenomenal. And I think that's one thing that Jackie does give us, is that her passing is really good, and her work in between their defensive midfield, sort of in between the lines as well, is good. So I think if we're looking to replicate that in terms of, I think for me, I'd rather go attacking. Like Hayley's more defensive minded, which is fine. But I think just more that final through ball and a little bit more, like I say, going from an attacking point of view, I think we should take the game to them. But yeah, like I say, I'm not massively fussy. You know, I'll take either because they're both quality players. It'd be lovely to get both on there, like Rob says, but we all know full well that it ain't going to happen. So, yeah, sorry, you can move on now, pal. I'll move to your next point.
Well, my next point was going to be, because obviously you know a lot more of the Spurs players than I do. I was going to ask for who would you think would be the one to watch for Spurs tomorrow? Who will possess the most danger to Manchester United tomorrow?
I think I'm going to stick with who I mentioned before. I think I'm going to stick with Rachel. I'll go with Rachel Williams. I was going to say Obagagu, but I think Obagagu, she started and she had one good half against Leicester and then got subbed. So while she was effective first half, second half she was ineffective because she got sussed out as a one-trick pony. So I think for me, I'm going to go experience. I'm going to go Rach Williams. Always a handful, clever little player. So I think that's one you just need to sort of be on your guard. But like I say, sort of Jess Naz is a decent enough player. Obagagu's okay. There's one or two. I think Josie Green as well. She's decent in their midfield. She's captain as well. So again, that's something we might need to guard against Welsh International. But yeah, and obviously now they've got two decent fullbacks. Ashley Neville, obviously everybody knows, and Asmita Rail, who come in from Aston Villa, is fullback as well. So yeah, I think that's probably part of the reason why defensively they've looked a lot better. Adding Shalana Zadorsky, who is obviously the captain or vice captain, one of them. I think add her in, and we've got a couple of other, like I say, defenders as well that's added to the experience. I think, just make for a good game. But I'm not hugely concerned. I'm not sat here oh my god, But they're just a couple of names that could potentially be a little bit tricky for us.
You mentioned Grace Neville there. Do you think?
Hang on.
How's it? Hey,
rewind. I mentioned who?
Neville.
Ashley, not Grace.
Oh, as I say, Grace.
Sorry, pal. I didn't want to.
It's been that sort of day for me, mate.
Come to me, you see.
I always get something wrong.
Ashley Neville.
Yes, sorry, Ashley Neville. You mentioned Ashley Neville there. I always thought that Hansen always had a bit of the beating of her, down that side. Do you think that's where we could get a bit of luck as well, down the flanks?
Possibly. Like I say, I think, to be fair, I rated Asmita Rail at Villa, and I said at I can't think, it might have been Mark, probably because he's a Villa fan. Well, allegedly. I might have said I mentioned something about, quality player, and it'd be a big blow to lose her to a club that I view is not really much better than Villa, in my view. Spurs, obviously, they've started better, but at the end of the season, we'll see. But I think possibly fullback areas. Listen, it will be interesting. And like you said, Hansen does, at least physically and for pace, have the beating of Neville. But I think for me, I'd be looking at it centrally. I think if you're looking at that back four, I wouldn't be saying the fullbacks are the weak spots. I'd be saying go and attack them two centre halves. Because, like I say, you've got sort of Zadorsky, who's okay, but can be prone to mistakes, a little bit clumsy. Whether Molly Bartrick plays alongside her, she's not the quickest. Karis Harrop, experienced defender, former Birmingham City player. But I think for me, I think Russo will be the one. That link-up play with Tooney in the middle. And then, like I say, adding into the mix, hopefully, Bo Risa as well. I'd be looking to just pepper it from there. But that's not to say don't attack wide, if we can do, because something I've always said that we can do better for me is use the space and the width a lot more, because we seem to go very narrow. So that'll be interesting whether they sort of go in tight and mark Alessia, or whether they stick with sort of the normal pattern of, we'll mark the wide players, we'll mark Leo, we'll mark Alessia. And it's just options, isn't it? But I think that front four, sort of Hansen, Galton, Russo, Tooney in behind, listen, we know that can cause damage, so we'll see what we get on the day.
Are you optimistic that Matt Skinner will set us up right, though? I'm not saying he hasn't in the past, but are you optimistic that he'll get it absolutely spot on in his team selection? Because there's always a question or two, when his team selection does come out.
Yeah. To be fair, I'm expecting the back four to be the same. I know he mentioned Smithy was back, and I'd like to see her at least giving a goal, but I think maybe she'd be more coming in for the cup for me, and he's a back in. But I think, in terms of setup, I think same back four, obviously Mary in goal. Like I say, it's I seem to say this every week about the midfield, but it's just about picking the right players. So I think, I'm not expecting too many changes, being perfectly honest. I think just the one for Jackie. I think we'll see same midfield, Hansen one side, Leah the other, probably Katie in front of the back four with Orisa, and then Tooney just in front of that, and then Russo. But yeah, I think it's not even at times the team selection. I genuinely do think it's the way we play. Like I said, we get so sort of compact and narrow in the middle. I want to see fullbacks pushing higher. I don't understand. We did it against Birmingham City, and Hannah Blundell got herself in some fantastic positions and got 2 assists. I'm sort of thinking, well, hang on, if that's what we've got, why aren't we exploiting this a bit more? It's all well and good doing it against the shite teams, but let's try and see what it does against some that are a little bit better, like Spurs, for example. So I think in terms of that, it's difficult, isn't it? Because the one thing that I hated under Casey was it was the same predictable crap. At least to be fair to Mark, he has changed it. Okay, I wasn't a fan of the false 9. But he's sort of, he's changed it, and now we've got an out-and-out 9 in Russo. It's a little bit more of sort of a 4-2-3-1, isn't it? For me, anyway. I don't know how you feel it looks, but that's what it looks like, and sort of Alessia's on her own up top. But I just think getting it right is the main thing, and like you said, the style of play more than the personnel/formation. Yeah,
absolutely, mate. Listen, points to the board is what matters the most in the day. And if it's a scruffy 1-0 win, the 3 points is what ultimately at the end of the day, it's all that matters. I did kind of touch on it just briefly earlier on that Jackie being missing. Is that a huge blow for Manchester United? Is that with the strength and depth that we seem to have in midfield? Is that something we could cope with?
I think we can cope with it. I don't think it's a huge blow. Listen, I think, being perfectly honest, Jackie's not been the best version of Jackie. That's not to say she's been absolutely woeful, because she hasn't, but I don't think yet we've seen the Jackie Groningen of last year. And I think that's probably due to a little bit of everything, maybe too many games, not much of a break. And then when she has come back from the break she was given, it's taken her a little bit of time to get up to speed. And obviously that only comes with sort of fitness as well as playing games. But I think, like I say, I think with Vlad and Risa, I'd like to think we've got enough to cope. And listen, I think most people know anyway, if there's no Jackie, it should be Lad, Risa and Tooney. But listen, it is what it is. We have these discussions most weeks on that. But I just think, I think for this season, we're actually okay. Whereas I think last season, you look at that midfield and it was maybe not necessarily lightweight, but it wasn't as good as it could be. And I think, adding Bo Risa this summer has given us a different dimension, hasn't it? It's not quite a clone of Jackie, but it's not far off. And, she possesses that talent to, like I said earlier, unlock any defence, really. So, I don't think it'll be a massive miss. It wouldn't be as big as a blow, say, if Russo was to get injured again, or, something like an owner or a Hannah. I wouldn't be like, comparing it to that. But I think in terms of, what we have in terms of replacements, I think we should cope. But, again, that could also come back to bite me. But not massively panicking. I just hope that we get her back and we don't rush it, and we get her back fit as well, and then we can sort of crack on from there, sort of for the rest of the new year or however long she's out for.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely spot on that. Before we move off Spurs, quick score prediction for tomorrow, pal.
Do you know what? I'm going to go 1-0. I know we won there. Was it 1-0 last year as well for Miller Turner? But I think I'm just going to go for a 1-0. Like I said, I don't think they've got too much to trouble us. But I'm going to go a tight game. I called a tight game at the very start of the show, so I'm going to say 1-0. I was thinking 2-1, but I was thinking, actually, I don't think we will concede. And I'd be surprised. Well, I say I'd be surprised if we got 2. We're capable of getting 2, but I'm still going to go 1-0.
Perfect, mate. I'm going to go 2-0 anyway. I think can't see us conceding back. I can see us scoring a couple. But I do think it'd be a very tight game. I think we'll probably get a goal in each half, I think.
Yeah. I just hope, because it's after an international break, we don't start slowly, because that's the other thing I had in my mind. Is that every time, especially because it's been 3 weeks since Durham? 3.5 weeks. I just think that we've had so many people away on internationals that actually, I don't know, could be completely wrong. This was something under Casey. It could be completely different under Mark, because after the last international break, we've carried on. So, I don't know. Let's see what we get.
Absolutely. Now, moving on to the game that we've got after that, it is a winning Kirkless Everton. So I I just wish he was in the job still a little bit, so we could have been the ones to put him out of the job, absolutely hammering Everton. But I've got a funny feeling about this one with them with the new boss and everything. These might be a little bit more tricky than they would have been under Willie Kirk. I don't know if you've got that same sort of vibe.
Not what I saw on Wednesday, no. No, I think did somebody, TJ, just posted they've just lost to Brighton. So that obviously, like I say, I saw it when it was 1-0, and obviously it's finished that way, I'm assuming. Anyway, it lost. So, but no, I think, listen, when a new manager comes in, it goes one of two ways. It either lifts people immediately, or they sort of simmer along for a little bit until his new ideas come together. And I think for me, what I saw of them on Wednesday, listen, they were okay in the first half, but the second half, they were the second best team. They were not great, and Leicester came out, and but I don't see much what's changed, if that makes sense, from Willie. Like, it didn't look any different, really. It still looks like Willie's in charge, basically. I mean, I know that's a daft thing to say, but like the setup, the tactics, obviously the players aren't going to change. I'm not that daft, but do you know what I mean? Just the whole thing. I was struggling to pick out, like, this guy talks about, I'm going to do this and this is going to be great and that's going to be great. I'm just thinking, well, I mean, listen, obviously it was first game, it was a cup game. He's not had long to work with his players. Maybe that could be deemed as harsh, but I just think, like I say, from what I saw, I think it might be a little bit too early for him to implement these ideas that he has. So I think I'm going to say that should be, straightforward. That should be a win. Like I say, that midfield, basically, and sort of forward or attacking midfield, it just relies on Kenza Darley and Izzy Christiansen. That's all they do, literally. They had Tony Duggan on. She may as well have been a floating ghost. She was non-existent. They took her off eventually, which just proved the point. But like I say, I just think that looking at what they had, it was everything. It was literally right. Goalkeeper out to defender to Izzy to do a little stuff. Kenza Darley, get on the ball, bang. That was it. And Izzy scored a quality goal. Fair play to her. The first one they got was just ridiculous defending by Abby McManus. I don't know what she was doing. She just stood there. And then it deflected off, I think, somebody else. So that could have been avoided. And the third goal, the keeper dropped. So, again, that could have been avoided. So, if let's not chuck any punches. Like I say, Leicester were a 45-minute team, and the gaffer come out and said that afterwards, which is exactly what I'd sort of said to him anyway. You need to string two halves together. And I think the fact that the second half, they were the better team against Everton just goes to show that actually Everton's not, getting there and improved and not all that at the minute. But like I say, expecting it to improve slowly. That's obviously why they changed the manager. But listen, I back us against them. And we always love a trip to Everton anyway, pal, don't we?
We do, mate, we do.
And it's just one of them games. I think since season one, it's just been a little rivalry. And obviously, it's like a team from Merseyside, so that always helps. And it's a local-ish team.
Well, to be fair, mate, with Liverpool down below us, in the Championship, it is like our proper Merseyside rivalry, innit? Without having Liverpool in.
Just a quick shout out to Josh as well. I did catch him at the Villa game against Chelsea. He was having a quick chat afterwards in the absolutely horrific frozen hurricane, whatever you want to call it, thingy, weather.
Was that at Villa? Sorry, mate. Was that at Birmingham, that, mate?
Yeah, it was at Walsall. Yes, they were back to the normal ground, so it was there. But yeah, like I said, caught up with Josh afterwards, quick chat. But yeah, it's always nice to see people that tune in person as well.
Do we see our pretend United fan from Villa?
I did, and I got confused because I still forget that he's a twin, and I'm waving at one guy and he's giving me some funny looks like this, and then Mark pops out and I was like, that's why you're not Mark, you're his brother. But it always throws me that one because I'm like this, yeah, you're right, pal, like just as you do when you see people and it wasn't Mark. But then it was Mark, because Mark did come and he come up to me and he was like, oh yeah, and he was like, didn't think you'd be here, but like I say, I don't mind, me. I'll just travel to games, like I say. Anything that takes me pick that I fancy, I just think, what, sod it. It was either that, mate, or bloody going down to bloody that Walton Hall tip. So I thought, go Villa. It's one of them, pal. But yeah, like I say, caught up with Josh and it was good to see him again. And we were just chatting about our game tomorrow against Spurs, and it's on the telly for those that aren't going. So yeah, good times.
On Everton, mate, Tony Duggan, you brought her up. This is... she obviously has played in Spanish football, England international. It doesn't baffle me. I don't really know her that well. I know you've watched her over the years. Does it baffle you that she seems to be struggling in this Everton side? Or she seems to be struggling. She's come back to the WSL. She's not exactly put herself in the top plinth for players, has she?
Do you know what? No. I struggle to understand when people wanted her at United and Championship possibly, but the thing was, her last year at City, her final year, she was constantly running with the ball with no end product and running down what I call a blind alley, running into people, losing the ball, passing was woeful. She's gone to Spain and you think, great, technical league. Yeah, should develop her as a player. No. Comes back no different. I don't know. I don't even know how she starts every week, because every week she seems to get subbed, which tells you that she's doing something wrong. Now, for me, they've got Claire Emsley on the bench, who's miles better player, really good player. She should be starting for me, or if I was sort of an Everton fan, I'd be asking why isn't she starting? But yeah, it was a little bit of a weird one, but I can't get my head around what goes wrong. It's not like this is somebody like a Jill Scott that's like 35, and coming to the end of her career. This is a player that's been to Spain, come back, and she's only just turned 30. She's played for Atletico Madrid and she's played for Barcelona. Now, she did okay in terms of goals at Barcelona, but again, you're looking at that league and it's still semi-pro, or it was semi-pro. I can't work out why Everton have brought her back, to be honest. Like I say, for me, they've got better players, but she's come on, she's played, like I say, all the games and then been taken off. But I look at Claire Emsley, good player. Kenza Darley can play wide potentially. They've got so many better players, but yet they stick with her, and I struggle to see what she brings. Josh Rosier, I think a lot of players have suffered at Everton this season. Yeah, I think that's it. I think players obviously taking time to take to the system, but I think in terms of that, obviously Willie Kirk brought her in, and his system had been consistent for the past few years. So I think if you are a player that's played at a club like Man City and Barcelona, you should be adaptable. I get that there's different systems and different managers and things. That's that. But the hallmark of a quality player is to be adaptable. And I just, like I say, this is even under Willie Kirk. Like I say, Wednesday under a new manager, fair enough. Things will be implemented that are different to Willie. But under Willie, there was just nothing. So it's just a bizarre one for me. I always questioned at the time her selection for England, because it just seemed like a one-trick pony. She just seemed to be pretty quick. And I'm thinking, well, that's not really a footballer. That's a runner or an athlete if you want speed. You know what I mean? You can't have somebody that runs with the ball that can't cross the ball.
Is it a bit like a bit similar to Dan James in a way then? If you think about Dan James at United.
Probably say Dan James had more of an end product, to be fair, pal. At least he had goals in him. Well, occasionally. But I think, you kind of, yeah, it's sort of similar. Like I say, you get the ball and you run and you run and you run and you run. You think, yeah, all right, fair play. You got a bit of speed. Then you think, right, what's next? You're going to play a quick 1-2. You're going to take somebody on. You're going to cross it. Can't even take players on. Can't cross the ball. And it's like, well, what do you know what I mean? What are you doing that Claire Emsley isn't to justify your selection? Like I say, the England sort of call-ups and things are weird, because obviously she was getting call-ups sort of as recent as like 3 years ago, and I was thinking, how she played in the I think it was the qualifiers for the World Cup. I'm not sure she went to the 2019 World Cup. I don't think she did, but she played qualifiers and she was part of the She Believes squad that won in America as well. So I struggled at times, because at the time, well, there still is now, there's better wide players for country anyway. So obviously now she's out the international scene. I'm like, great, perfect. But listen, I'm not an Everton fan, so I'm not hugely bothered, but it's just interesting to debate whilst you ask the question. But listen, we don't need to worry about her, pal. Bloody hell. I wouldn't be worried if she came up against Martha, put it that way.
Ooh, that's you saying something.
Hey, that's not nothing against Martha. I'm just saying, in terms of our fullbacks, most people view Martha as like the third choice right back. So if that's what most people view Martha as, I would have no problem. That's not me saying, by the way, before anybody comes to me, that I want Martha to play.
Yeah.
You know, I'd rather stick with the strongest team. However, I'm saying for me that I'm not bothered about Tony Duggan because Martha Harris would have the measure of her anyway. So in England, they pick the players that are a big team. Yeah,
I think so.
It's become a carbon copy. Talk about it then, Ben. I'll let you have your.
You know me and international football, mate. It's just,
go on, just do it.
It's a bit of a bugbear for me. You know, we picked on names and not on form, isn't it? It's always the same thing. It's like how's Mason Greenwood not in this England squad? You know, for the men's side, you know, Gareth Southgate's good. Oh, you know, he could miss his chances today. Right, fucking Gareth, mate. He scored more goals than Harry Kane this season. What are you on about, son? He's played more minutes than half the players you picked up front. But it's true though. I just think, why can't we pick players that are in form? You know, players that deserve to be picked. You know, on their club, not only on the club form, but also on the international form. Some of them that you see, for example, Steph Houghton, always seems to be at the national side when she's fit and available to be picked. But is she on there for form or is she on there for name? You know for a fact that it's because of name. Jill Scott's another one. She's about 98 years old now. Come on, move on. Let's blood a couple more younger players to the side. Players that have maybe played a bit more than Jill Scott has. I know Jill Scott has played plenty of football this season due to City's injuries, but you're telling me if City had a fully fit squad to pick from, that she'd be first choice. Not a chance. Probably she'd be shipped out on loan again, like she was previous season. I just think, come on, let's just pick them. Let's pick the right players first and foremost, play them in the right positions, and let's get them picked on form and not on name alone. Yes, you always have one or two that will always get picked, I suppose, on name. Granted, you know, maybe like Ellen White may not have had a great season so far, but you're picking her because internationally, you know, she can score goals in big competitions. And again, Josh saying, yeah, exactly. I don't get how Jill Scott is picked all the time. She had a terrible season last season and this year as well. I think it was when we played Manchester City in the league. Well, more than a few weeks back now, isn't it? But because of international breaks and everything. But you know, when we did play him in the league in the Manchester Derby at LSV, and I was critical of why we were giving her so much time on the ball. We made her look good that game. You know, we didn't put her under pressure. I just think, you know, we need an England side that's picked on merit, and I think, and I believe that if an England side is 95% picked on merit and 5% picked on names instead of the other way around, I think England might have a possibility of going far in competition. Maybe getting to a final, going that one stage further, and maybe go to that second stage further and winning a trophy. A major trophy, that is, you know. I don't know, mate. You know me, I book bears in international football, pal. I could go on all night, so I best stop.
No, all I was gonna do was move on to because obviously we chatted Spurs. I was going to move on to, and we've chatted Everton. I was going to move on to Man City.
Yeah.
You know, you were talking about that. Obviously, that's Conti Cup, and I think for me, we really need to pick up the 3 points, and that's simply because Everton have won one and lost one. Leicester have played a game less but lost. City beat Durham the other day, and they beat Everton first game. So they're on 6. We only got 2 because obviously we've got 1 for the draw and 1 for the shootout. So I'm thinking in terms of going through from that group, and we could
sorry, pal. Does City beat Durham 3-0?
Yeah, City beat Durham 3-0 and Everton 5-1 in the Conti Cup.
Right.
So
they're already hammering teams already. You know what I mean? We were struggling to beat Durham.
Well, this is what I'm saying. This is why we need the 3 points are important, and we need to go through as group winners, ideally. But then again, I suppose going through would be an upgrade on last year when we didn't even get out the group.
True.
But I think for me, like you said, you know, I believe now Bunny Shaw is injured, and we're talking about potential for a long term with that. Plus, they've still got that woeful goalkeeper in goal. So I think for me that's the big test. Again, we're at home. And like you said, I want to see that back 4 makeshift put under pressure. We saw what happened when Leah put Stanway under pressure. She decided to go all martial arts on her.
Karate Kid.
Rightly so, got sent off. But it's again, and I don't like sort of harping back to Wednesday, but speaking to like a couple of players and the Leicester chairman, and they were sort of saying, "Oh, it's Man City," and I'm like, "Yeah, but change the attitude and how you view it. If you get physical and get nasty, and get under Jill Scott, and attack her with pace. I'm talking Siggy and she's quick, talking Tasha Flint, and Stanway's not a right back. You can run them ragged. You really can. Like, people need to be brave. I was having this conversation the other day. I think it was with Rob Kenton, and we were sort of saying, about sometimes, not all teams, but the teams are reluctant to go forward and really put on a great attacking display. And he was right. It got me thinking, how many passes do you see sideways, backwards? There was instances on Wednesday, both teams, and they're making 4 and 5 passes. And I'm thinking, hang on, it's one ball. They literally, central midfield out wide should not be going through 3 or 4 players. It's one ball across and out. It's not like we're sort of talking one side of the pitch from the other. We're talking centre back or centre mid out wide. And it's having to go back to go forwards, or it's having to go sideways through one more player to get across. By the time you've done that, everybody's shuffled across. So I do think that, if we do put on a decent attacking display and really look to get the ball forward ourselves and look to hit them on the counter and run them ragged, I think they're there for the taking. Natalie says there, City will rotate. Possibly.
Right, that's the point I was going to say. Have they got enough players to rotate?
I don't know, but what I was thinking, I mean, possibly. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Rotate maybe 2 or 3 in terms of the norm. Maybe they might give Hemp a rest or Ellen White. Maybe that's as far as they could rotate for possibly Jess Park or something. But I think they don't need the points as much as we do because, like I said, they're sitting on 6 points and we're sitting on 2. So listen, a loss for Man City, if you're a Man City fan or player or whatever, it's not as disastrous, is it? But I do think that we need to really take the game to them. And, like Josh said, now's not a bad time to play them because of their injuries. But yeah, this is what, just to sort of echo, that's pretty much what I'm saying, go for it and have a go at them. It is there for the taking. And like I said earlier to you, Benny, the league draw for me was still disappointing. But I just can't understand when other people or players or staff from other clubs are saying to me, "Oh, well, it's still Man City." They're there to be got at the minute. They literally are. That's why they sat down in 8th or 9th or whatever. They've got 4 points in 5 games. Yes, they've still got good players fit. Granted, I'm not saying they're not a Birmingham City, for example, but they still are playing players out of position. They still are hampered by injury. And listen, they've still got goals in them. Absolutely. Of course they have. But, like I say, especially at home with a crowd behind us now, I want to see it, like Nat said, go for it. Take the game to them. Get the crowd behind the team. I mean, we always do anyway, so that's never an issue. But do you know what I mean? With the crowd on side, because we can fit more in LSV than we can at the Swamp or whatever they call it. But yeah, I think that's the game that, like I said to you earlier, really looking forward to, and I want to see us go all out.
Saying that though, do you think we'll go full strength against City in the Conti Cup, or do you think we're still rotating, especially with goalkeeper position?
Yeah, I think the goalkeeping position for me, I'm happy rotating that because I'm happy with the backup this year.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of everything else, and I think it's something Mark may have mentioned about, he wants those players to continue to form those partnerships and sort of get to know each other and his way of playing better, because obviously we are still building and getting used to that. That's fine. I think that for that reason, I wouldn't be changing loads, but I'd certainly change the goalkeeper. Does he maybe rest Alessia and bring in Martha Thomas? I don't see why not, because, Martha Thomas has got the pace. She played, and obviously this was, confirmed yesterday by Emma Sanders as well, that she did play behind closed doors, as did Kirsty Smith. So, maybe we'll see Martha in there and perhaps Smithy as well, and give either Verona or Hannah Blundell a rest. But I wouldn't be making huge changes. Obviously Jackie's out already. Maybe bring in Hayley and Sophie Bagley, and then perhaps either one of Martha Thomas or Kirsty Smith. But apart from that, I'd be going as full strength as possible for me.
Absolutely. I think they have to be taken, mate. I think exactly what Nat says as well, what you just touched on, wins only from now.
Yeah.
I want to get far in this competition. It was sort of the first competition that we obviously got a taste of back when we sort of reformed in our first season, and I always remember the trip to Boreham Wood. Was that close, mate? That close to getting to a final. And I just wanted to go one step further, get to a cup final. And I still believe Conti Cup's one of the easier ways to get to a cup final.
Well, I was just going to say, Bristol City did it. So why can't we? I don't mean that to come across rude or horrible or anything, but, I look at that. Bristol City did it. Leicester made the semis as a championship side. We should at least be, and this is going to come across arrogant, but I don't care. We should at least be looking to make a semi-final. We really should, with what we have. There's no excuses for the semis not to be Arsenal, Chelsea, ourselves, and one more team. There really isn't. And like I say, that probably comes across, but tough. That's how I believe in my team and the way that we should be, going out there. So, yeah, last year, let's throw no punches. Last year was disappointing in the FA Cup and the Conti Cup. Regardless of injuries last year, it was just poor to not qualify out of a group. I think, did we lose to Liverpool as well?
Yeah, we lost to Liverpool, didn't we, in our group?
It's just not good enough last year. But, again, chance to correct it. I think we, like you said, we really should have been beating Durham. I don't know. We knew what we were getting with that. We knew full well what we're coming up against, and we sort of didn't rise to the challenge physically.
To be fair, though, it's also in a way Durham's cup final. Though, to be honest with you, I don't. Let's be fair. Let's get out of the way. Man City's at their cup final. They look at us, especially with all the stuff that. Especially with all the stuff that came up from the Championship when there was like, oh, what do you expect us to do? Roll out the red carpet because you're Man United and all that. There always seems to have been that sort of tension there. So I always thought if there's any team that were going to raise their game against was us, But I agree with you. I was equally disappointed that we didn't go out there and get the 3 points. The 2 points, yes, it may prove a vital 2 points at the end of the day, mate, but it's still that one singly dropped point there. We should have had all three, really.
I just go back to that Russo chance and listen, I love her to pieces, seeing her since she was like 16 years old, but missing that chance, and I said this on the day I think it was to you actually, because you were next to me and Rob, and I said I hope that doesn't come back to haunt us because she missed that open net, and that was the difference in normal time between 3 points and winning the shootout, which at the time wasn't guaranteed, and 2. And it's that 1 point that listen, I'm never going to out a player. I'm never going to specifically say it was her, because at the end of the day, it was 90 minutes and we didn't perform. But I can't get it out of my head back to that chance, especially when it fell to her. If it had fallen to somebody with 2 left feet that doesn't normally score goals, or I could accept it. But I struggle a little bit with that one. But like I say, never ever gonna out her for that. It was unfortunate, but she did make up for it by scoring the winning penalty. But
absolutely,
hopefully that 1 point drop doesn't come back to bite us. But it is what it is. I'll just take getting through this year for a starter.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'll just get out of the group, get into the knockout stages, and then, get into the proper knockout football stages. Let's just give it a good go. We've got nothing to lose at the end of the day. That's why I'm thinking here now. Listen, against City, let's go all out for it. And even if we went full strength, I wouldn't be fussed, mate. I'd be like, let's batter City. Let's get some points on the board. Let's go out. And as Nat says, and as you said, we need to go for it. Get our points on the board. Wins from only now from now on, let's get it to a final. And Josh here, when is Millie back from her injury? I believe she has started training on grass, hasn't she?
Yeah, she's back on the grass.
Form of training.
Yeah, she's back on the grass. I think they're just sort of easing into sort of training and getting back. I know she's obviously, as we've seen on Instagram and Twitter and things, she's been mad into a gym and a boxing. Great, brilliant. That's, pleasing to see. But yeah, I think she just seems to be back doing little bits of running. So from what I can gather, because she posted a video of her sort of running up and down Carrington, and obviously we've seen further pictures today, it does look like she's just on sort of basically just running in movement, which is fine. So in terms of time frame, obviously nobody knows, but I think, listen, if she's only back running now, you've got to get back into small contact and then full contact. That said as well, you also need to get fitness, so
I reckon that's Christmas, mate.
I think if it was me, I'm one of these. I'd like to play it safe. I'd like to be sort of like you. Let's just bring her back after Christmas. Listen, the player herself, Millie, won't want that. If she can get back before, she'll be obviously, absolutely bouncing to go. But I just think for me, like, manage it carefully, like we did with Russo, because now we're seeing the benefits.
Absolutely.
We are a little bit light at centre back, but I just think if we can afford to get away with it, let's just take the time. Let's just get a fit, get everything right. Because it was a horrible injury, and then once we've done that, you need to know, especially around your knee, with all the sort of cartilage and things, and the sort of ligaments and tendons and all the muscles and etc. You don't want them to sort of not break down, but them to be under too much load and pressure, because that's when you get in things like your ACLs and your ligaments going. So I think for me, just like, take it chilled. Listen, if there's a couple of development games before Christmas that she can play in, chuck her in,
behind closed doors,
minutes, give her a bash in those. But yeah, hopefully, like I say, for me, New Year, then we could see her.
Absolutely. Before we start running out of time, we'll get on to Arsenal, mate. Now, this could be the trickiest of the tricky ones, And I probably maybe played a little bit of disservice to Arsenal, maybe, saying, they're not as good as they used to be. Well, they kind of proved me a little bit wrong this season. I've been surprised. I thought that, losing Montemiro and losing a few players, and obviously things weren't going right last season for them, they only just scraped the Champions League. I thought they're there for the taking this season, and they've totally pulled it all the way around again. So, what have you made of Arsenal so far this season, pal?
Impressive, and that kills me. I think, do you know what made me sit up and take note was when they absolutely mullered Chelsea 5-0. Yeah. And I was the same as you. I thought losing players, hearing of player discontent, hearing that, people wanted out. I was just thinking, that they're being for a bit of a rough ride. But I think what has shocked people more than anything has been probably the manager and the way he's sort of set up and played. And obviously the recruitment has been spot on. And it's been interesting because I watched Arsenal. I've seen them both live and on sort of FA Player / BBC and whatever else. And it's been interesting because now they've always had good attacking talent, but they've added to it. And then they've sort of cut out mistakes at the back. They've got a partnership for me between Lottie Wubben-Moy and Leah Williamson, and Jen Beattie's also in there as well at times. I think they've got a solid foundation there. And I think the signings that they have made have really sort of taken them to that next level. If you look at the way they now play, they're quite similar to what Chelsea do. The pressing from the front is very aggressive, and it's them backed up. And I've always talked about this in terms of our own game, is that after one press at times, when it was either been Tooney or Russo, the second press needs to be straight on it, and it's not. It's been passive, where it's been one press to get beat. Bloody hell, where's the next person? And I think what Arsenal have found the balance of is, whether it's been Miedemar up there, it's been Paris up there, it's been Heath or Iwabuchi or Beth Mead, there's always been a follow-up, and there's always been, the likes of Leah Walty in behind, Kim Little especially as well, very good player. Frida Marnham has been there, so there's always been that second sort of like what I say is an aggressive press. And I think, it's a credit to the manager. We were talking earlier, weren't we, about Everton's new one, and sometimes you hit the ground running, sometimes it takes time. And to be fair to him, I'd pretty much say he's hit the ground running. Like I say, putting 5 past Chelsea was a wake-up call, because I thought, my days, like, Chelsea were quality last year. They're wiping the floor with most teams.
Chelsea wiped the floor with us this season as well, haven't they?
Hey?
I was about to say Chelsea did wiped the floor of us this season as well, so you've got to think.
They did, but I wasn't impressed with them today. I will say that. So, yeah. But no, I think in terms of Arsenal, like I say, I think cutting out silly mistakes and changing the way they play, sort of being a little bit more braver and aggressive when hunting the ball back has done them wonders. They are my pick to win the league. So for me, that is our biggest test this season. Listen, the Chelsea game, we don't need to go back over it, but we've all agreed, that 3, maybe 4 of their goals were handed to them. We didn't exactly, what's the word? We didn't really cope with it and sort of play into their hands. We sort of gifted them goals. And you saw today with Villa, okay, they rode the luck at times, but what a little bit of defensive organisation and structure does. And a little bit of woeful finishing from Chelsea's point of view. But I do think that Arsenal is the biggest test that we'll face this year, or so far, should I say. And And yeah, like I said, it's going to be a thoroughly enjoyable game, and it's going to be interesting how we play, because I've looked at what teams do, and like I say, when I saw them against Villa, Villa went for the sit back and defend for your lives approach, and it worked in the first half to their credit. And then after that, they tired, and obviously Arsenal's quality shone through. And again, sort of Chelsea, you know, they went as a 3-4-3, and they sort of looked to do it that way and overload things from an attacking point of view. And that obviously didn't work. And then you see some teams, like I say, they sort of mix it up, don't they? The counter attack and sit back, and it's a nice mix. So I genuinely would be interested to see what we do. So yeah, that one's going to be really interesting.
Yeah. Also, an Arsenal as well, though. They've also got Tobin Heath in there as well, which we haven't mentioned yet. I don't know, mate. I just it's one of those feelings that I have, mate, when it comes to this one, and I just can't get it out of my head that we could be handed an absolute football lesson again. You know, if we play anything like we did against Chelsea, against Arsenal, it could be double figures for them. You know, that's the problem we're looking at now. This Arsenal side is really, really good. They look really impressive. And that's what surprised me. I'm looking, I've looked at them this season. I thought, yeah, these are gettable. These are gettable. We can, as long as we provide, we've been in the right players, we provide Mark with everything that he needs to enable us to do that. I thought Arsenal are gettable here. And I've been made to eat my own words, mate. They've been absolutely impressive since the start of the season. I don't know what the new gaffer's given them for breakfast, mate, but he's given them something totally different to what Montemiro was giving them last season, because they look so on it straight from the start right to the final whistle. And as you said, they battered Chelsea, which were the Champions League finalists last season.
Yeah,
you know, and the champions of England. You know, it just, I don't know, mate.
I think the thing for me for Arsenal is can they do it in Europe? You know, how far can they go? And I know if you go back to Tuesday's show, Gareth had Marissa on, and I think from memory she mentioned, you know, getting to the quarterfinals would be quite an achievement. And
yeah,
it was just interesting because obviously she's an Arsenal fan. She goes every week, so she sees them a lot more than sort of I do. But you know, they obviously they got walloped in Europe, well, in the group stage against Barcelona, but then they went and hammered Hoffenheim. So it's one of them. I think for me, listen, the league for me, you know, like I say, I think is going to be them, but it's going to be interesting in terms of Europe and obviously building. But you know, obviously bearing in mind, like I said, they did put 5 past Chelsea. We also seem to forget they put similar number past City.
That's what I fear, mate. If we put in them stupid mistakes like we were for the Chelsea game, mate, it'd be even more curtains for us, I think. You know, we need to make sure that we're proper on it. I mean, properly on it, properly switched on, especially at the back, especially in midfield. We need to try winning every single ball that we can win. That's first, second, and third winner. You know, I don't want to see us win the first one and then the next 2 Arsenal winning with ease. You know, and that's what seems to happen sometimes. We win the first one, for example, the second 2 are going unchallenged. The second 2, you know, loose balls are going unchallenged and the opposition are winning them. Or it goes the absolute complete polar opposite way and we're not winning any of them. And it's always the opposition that get in there first, second and third. You know, it's one of those, mate. Just we need to be absolutely on our game and absolutely on the ball. And I think we need to... I'm sure that they've got some sort of analysts for the women's side. I'm sure they've got some sort of video experts out there that we need to be making sure we're paying particular attention to the video analysts and the experts out there in the way that Arsenal play, and make sure we're preparing right for that game, because it's a big end of the month for us. That, you know, the City that sit in the Conti Cup and Arsenal. You know, it's. As for the league, sorry, shall we say? It's a big end. You know, 2 big games there where we don't want to be getting turned over. We don't want to be going into this Arsenal game on the back of a negative result against City. You know, we need to go out against City, get a decent win there. Just as I was saying, just go for it, absolutely go for it at City, and then go into the Arsenal match bouncing, you know, full of confidence, full of beans. You know, we don't want to be going in there second guessing ourselves, because that's the way I think mistakes happen. I think TJ just wants to ask a question now. I'll get that in first. What is it about Arsenal's final win over Chelsea? When was this? I'm assuming he wants to know, pal.
Yeah, do you know what? I'm getting mixed up. It was Arsenal over City that was 5-0. My mistake, sorry. It was no. I was trying to think about that myself, and I thought, do you know what? It wasn't even Arsenal Chelsea. It was Arsenal putting 5 past City. That was the one near the start of the season. Sorry, so my mistake there. It was the Arsenal smashing City that made me wake up, just to clear that up. Yeah, not Chelsea. Apologies, but yeah, that is what I meant. They definitely put 5 past City. I'm getting my blue teams mixed up.
It's all right. They're all the same, aren't they? One plays in Derby, one plays in Sky. You know,
it was. I think was it second game, maybe third game.
Yeah,
yeah, they smashed City 5-0. So yeah, City was the team, not Chelsea. We're on board now. We're on the same wavelength.
We're back on the right track.
Yeah.
I suppose before we wrap it up, I just want to get how many wins are we going to get out of these next group of fixtures? Are we going to win all 4?
I'm going to say 3.
3, yeah. Where do you think we're going to
drop? Everton, Spurs, and City. I think. If we can get that, and I don't know, and see what happens against Arsenal. It was just frightening because I remember he was looking at the subs and they were able to bring on Leah Williamson, Tobin Heath, Andy Wabuchi all at the same time. I'm just like, how? You're talking 3 quality players there.
There is some team who've got that.
And obviously, Beth Mead has found form. You know, Paris is a decent player. Caitlin Ford's in there as well. You know, is a good player. Talking sort of attacking players. So, and obviously, as we all know, we've got Tobin as well. So, yeah, be interesting.
It will be, mate. It will be. To be fair, mate, I'm with you. 3 out of 4. That'd be nice, you know, because the Arsenal one would be the. Even if we've got a player out of Arsenal, I wouldn't be disappointed. Especially the way they're playing. You know, as you said, like, you know, you've sort of tipped them for the league title this season. So,
yeah.
I can't disagree with it, mate. I can't disagree with that point. I think they are.
Yeah, just the fact that they're unbeaten, you know, against. I mean, they did play Chelsea. I'm sure they did, and won them because that's Chelsea's only loss. And like I say, 5 past City. So to come through them 2 games unbeaten, you can't. You know what I mean? You can't. Yeah. You'd be foolish to write them off. Obviously, they've got to play them again, and ourselves twice. But you know, who knows? But Absolutely. Like I say, they battered City and they beat Chelsea because that's Chelsea's only loss. So let's see.
Yeah, I think they said. Yeah, I think you're saying they won 3-2 against Chelsea. So,
oh, there we go. Yeah, they won 3-2 against Chelsea and absolutely annihilated City. So, not bad, is it? Not a bad start for
not a bad start, no.
5-6 games in. But yeah,
but yeah. Listen, we get 3 wins. I think 3 on the bounce, and then get into that Arsenal game. Hopefully, with 3 on the bounce, 3 victories on the bounce, and then. Anything can happen in football, and it's a funny old game.
Yeah.
As the old quote goes. Before we wrap it up, pal, obviously you're not travelling to Spurs tomorrow. Yeah, it's a bit too early for you. But have you got anything planned? Are you going anywhere else to watch any games tomorrow?
I've not looked at fixtures, to be honest, but I've got sort of work commitments that tie me up tomorrow. Like I said, that early kickoff's just absolutely killed me. So I don't know. Might just chill at home because it's absolutely blowing a hurricane outside. Keep myself dry, keep myself warm, and just whack on BBC One. But yeah, I don't know. I need to speak to my FC friends and see if they've got a friendly penciled in because I know they did want one. See, but in terms of that, but there's still. Obviously, still going to be content tomorrow. I'm thinking, you know, yourself, John and Natalie heading down. Hopefully put out some content there. Obviously, the catch-up will be going out tomorrow and also the schedule will be going out tomorrow. So still got everything, you know, rocking and rolling on a match day. And then, yeah, obviously, match reaction show Monday. So, yeah, busy week.
Busy week, right? Before I wrap up, anything else to add then, pal, or is that it then from yourself?
I think we've covered it. Obviously, I say, Match Traction Monday. I'm back Tuesday. Gareth's obviously wrap-up's back as well. Well, it was back last week, but it's back with some results because obviously last week we didn't have WSL. Yeah, and then obviously Thursday's show, 2 shows on Friday, and we're back again next week. But yeah, like I say, keep an eye on the schedule. It's out tomorrow evening. Check out the weekly catch-ups as well if you've missed any shows or you've not had time to watch them. And yeah, all good. And thank you to everybody for tuning in.
Thank you, TJ, as well. And I think we should wrap it up there then, pal. Hopefully it'll be a good win against Spurs tomorrow. I don't even know what time I've got to get up yet. I'll message Rob after the show, see what time it is to travel down to the old Barnet FC, hopefully bring back them 3 points, buddy. While you're cheering on the sofa with your bowl of Cheerios and your heater on.
No, it won't be Cheerios at that time, lad. That's dinner time nearly.
Well, I don't know. You might have a bit of a lie-in, mate.
No, like I said, I'm up. No, I'm up. Like I said, I'm up early. I got work commitments that ties me up to about 10:30. That's why I can't get to Spurs in 2 hours. Not without an helicopter or something.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, yeah. Up early tomorrow, pal. Sadly.
Aye. Anyway, we'll wrap it up there, and thank you for everybody in the comments once again. Thank you to Matt as always, and we shall see you next week.